This is First GenXers.
Good evening, y'all, and welcome to tonight's edition of The Classroom, featuring this week the one and only Mr. Suave coming in on his off week because the news was just too big to pass up talking about. And well, kind of thank God he did. Also, I might be floating alone tonight. O'Malley, hope everything is okay, and we'll see you next week or later this episode. We'll see. All right, so man, this has been a very interesting week in sports, to say the least. Kristaps Porzingis came back for the Warriors. A bunch of different things, but the biggest and hottest stories have kind of all this week come out of the NFL, and it's where we're going to start tonight, is with the NFL. All right, NFL football talk here on The Classroom with Mr. Suave. All right, so the first thing up, of course, we'll talk about is major trades and cuts, starting with the trade of Max Crosby from the Las Vegas Raiders to the Baltimore Ravens for 2 first-round picks, one this year, one next year, which is, it's not what they got for Khalil Mack, but it'll do. Even though I think Crosby is somebody that produced at a Mac type level for the Raiders, I think that he getting 2 firsts for him is still a damn good haul. So what are your thoughts on there you go. Hello? All right.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
All right. What are your thoughts on Max Crosby going to the Ravens?
So at his face, as a former Raiders fan, I would say it's always tough to see an elite player let go in their prime. But having said that, I think it's a great trade for both teams. It'll have huge dividends for the Ravens this coming season, and also for the Raiders this coming season. I'm curious. They're going to have a lot of options. I think that it's going to be very curious who they get at number 14. There are already reports out that they're going to be heavily involved in a lot of the offensive lineman free agents, most notably Linderbaum. That's the center. That's the top free agent offensive lineman. He's going to be high on the list. I have a feeling that the Raiders really need to consider overpaying to get 2 or 3 of those linemen. I would say at least 2, and then from there, you really try to get a third. So that way you can use that 14th overall pick for somebody on defense. But there will be one of the third, fourth, or fifth best offensive linemen in this draft will be available. Also, there will be options for maybe a wide receiver. I see the name, the kid Boston, linked at that spot, as well as the offensive tackle Fano. So there's going to be some options there to help improve the team. The pick next year won't be great. I expect the Ravens to go from a contender to moving up to one of the top contenders with this trade. It really kind of sets their defense off. They'll look to be, heavy favorites to go to the Super Bowl. I'm happy for Max. It sounded like he wanted to be a Raider lifer, but as it goes in the NFL, usually this is how those things go. You got somebody that's endeared themselves to the fan base. They play at an incredibly high level, even for a team that's in a rebuilding phase. Max Crosby has only known rebuilding outside of maybe one season, I believe, one of his first few. Other than that, every year has been a lightweight rebuild. So it's good to see him go to a team that's truly in contention. I think he'll do great things for them. He's definitely a defensive weapon. And I think that the Raiders chose the right pick because you want two first for a guy like Crosby. Um, I would have preferred the Cowboys and maybe try to get three first rounders, but obviously they were trying to lowball it with the first and the second next year, which wasn't going to get it done. You're not going to get Max Crosby, who's on Parsons level, for a
Yeah,
deal that was less than what you got Parsons, what you shipped Parsons out for. So
right.
I think this is probably one of the best deals on the table. Would have been nice. It's a fanciful dream to hope you could have gotten three first rounders or maybe an extra second, but two
Yeah,
first, you can't really argue with that. These next two seasons, they'll have. I mean, one of those picks is gone. They're taking Mendoza. It's curious to see
yeah.
who they'll get at 14, and then next year they'll have their pick and Ravens pick. Probably, I would assume mid to high or high end, top 10 pick next year. I don't expect them to win a ton of games. And
For the
then they'll
Ravens
probably hit the Raiders.
or the Raiders?
And then
Raiders.
the second pick from the Ravens will probably be low to high 20s.
Yeah, okay.
And if it's in the
I thought you were
30s, I
saying that
mean,
the Ravens picks were going to be in the top 10. I'm like, nah, dude, with Crosby and Lamar Jackson coming back, nah, no way.
yeah, they,
But yeah,
they better be good. I mean, I'll be
yeah,
honest, it's great for the Raiders if that were to happen, but I don't see that happening unless some massive. Well, no, an injury to Lamar Jackson, it very well might happen.
yeah.
I do think that they've got the pieces to have a backup come in and see some success because you do got Derrick Henry and you can really bell cow him for an entire season. You got a guy that I'm not even sure who Lamar Jackson's backup is, but I still would assume they don't win a ton of games with the backup compared to Jackson.
I
But
want to
that,
say Tyrod Taylor was for a little bit, and then
yeah, I'm pretty sure he's moved on. I'm not sure he's there. Um, if he is, then they
uh,
might still win games
Huntley,
because I'm a Tyrod Taylor believer.
and Huntley maybe.
If they
I
got
think
Huntley,
his
I'm
name's
not I'm
Huntley.
not mad at that. He's been in the league for a couple years now, trying to
Um,
figure out how to get to the starting job, which will take forever with Jackson there.
it, I see this as a null trade, and what I mean is we have to see what happens on both ends because remember the Ravens just recently got rid of John Harbaugh to bring in who was it? They just happen to not be on this list of new head coaches. Um, I forgot who they brought in, but to bring in a new head coach, so he has to acclimate and bring in his staff, and the team has to acclimate to whatever changes from the Harbaugh regime, that happened. So I think from that end, like Crosby went to a great place, like where he's gonna be able to make an impact based off of the talent that he has around him on that Ravens defense for sure. But I think we'll have to see if that necessarily generates a good season or even a potential championship contender worthy season out of the Ravens. And then as far as the Raiders go, yeah, it does not hurt to have two first round draft picks. I think that the trade of Crosby and the pickup of another top 15 draft pick is proof that they're pretty much like it's a lock that they're taking Mendoza, because I think that either they're going to go Mendoza and then the best defensive end on the board at 14 to try to replace Crosby immediately, or they're going to go Mendoza and the best offensive lineman that they can find, young offensive lineman that they can find, to bring in to be able to protect Mendoza, and then go for an edge rusher or somebody like that, or DN or impact player on the defensive line at the top of the second round, because I believe they have the second pick in the second round. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with it, and having the two first round draft picks next year. You're right. I think you're right. Like I think the Raiders pick maybe like top 15, whereas the Ravens pick will end up being like between 20 and 25, somewhere around there. But like I said, we'll have to see how all that plays out. Another trade that happened this week that was quite interesting is DJ Moore has been traded to the Bills. Um, I don't know. Like I liked him in Chicago. Like he was definitely one of Caleb Williams' favorite targets, which is why it baffles me that they moved him. Um, but I think that he goes from having one great mobile quarterback throwing to him, young quarterback throwing to him, to having a great mobile old quarterback throwing to him, and and Josh Allen. But what are your thoughts on this trade?
Well, I mean, this is good two ways. One, you like to see Duzway get more touches. He's going to be the primary receiver going into this next season for the Bears. He definitely looked good in spurts, so him getting more touches and more opportunities should bode well for him and his career and his relationship with Caleb. I think for DJ Moore, you go to a place that doesn't have a bona fide number one receiver. You're gonna get the Stefon Diggs treatment in a sense. You're going to get a lot of looks.
Oh,
So,
you're going to get cut.
uh, well, the Bills version of Stefon Diggs
Yeah,
treatment.
I know.
So it's going to be good for him. I'm not sure. To me, he's still not necessarily a true bona fide number one type wide receiver, even though he's been kind of
Mhm.
anointed as such. He's had some good seasons. He's been on some bad teams. This will probably be one of the best teams he'll have been on. I know it's nice to go from good quarterback to good quarterback. And
Yeah,
honestly, you can even say go from good to great.
yeah,
Because Caleb hasn't necessarily gotten to that greatness level yet, whereas Allen
yeah.
is a top two, top three quarterback in the league. So it's good for Buffalo. They still got a lot of work to do, but it's good to get Allen at least one weapon. I don't think this trade moves the needle for me as much as the Crosby trade to the Ravens does. Getting
Mhm.
after the quarterback for the opposing team, as long as the team's healthy, I think does more than a wide receiver. I think Allen did pretty good last year with a unknown man room worth of wide receivers. So to get a guy like DJ Moore, we'll see what he can do with him.
I would call it more of a skilled wide receiver room than, like, they aren't going to make a lot of spectacular catches, but Josh Allen is going to put the ball where they don't necessarily need to, and they had a lot of speed on the in that wide receiver room. They still do, and DJ Moore adds to that because he's a speedster as well. Um, well, I was going to say another big news in the trades and cuts. Kirk Cousins finally is released from the Falcons. Of course, Michael Penix is their guy moving forward. That's why they drafted him where they did. Does this change the quarterback market for you at all? Because I know you were big on Malik Willis uh, potentially becoming a free agent. So does Kirk Cousins release and the potential release of Kyler Murray change the market for you at all?
Yes and no. I would say that it's more prominent for what type of coach or what the coach that how the coach views the quarterback. If you want a guy that's slightly more mobile that you can kind of help groom, Kirk Cousins is definitely a coachable quarterback. He's been through a lot of bad teams and good teams, so he's been through it and he can learn real quick. He's been a very effective NFL quarterback, although he hasn't had any playoff success.
No.
He's been through rebuilds. He's been through very, very good teams. So um, it all depends on what you want. I mean, if you want a guy like Kirk Cousins, I'm not mad at it. But typically, while the resume is a heck of a lot smaller or shorter, if you go Willis, you get a guy that's definitely younger. And honestly, well, I would say would be cheaper, but at the same time, I think Kirk Cousins is going to be gotten on the cheap to an extent also because
Yeah.
wherever he goes, I'm thinking, you know, it's going to be more of a prove it deal other than the deal that he got from Atlanta to leave Minnesota.
Fair enough. What if you there's talk about a reunion in Minnesota? Give JJ McCarthy a couple of more years to or another year to grow.
I don't know. I mean, to us, it makes sense. I don't
Yeah.
know if the Minnesota front office and ownership can really do that about face. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure their fans would appreciate it because at least you're going to go back to competent football and get competent play from your quarterback position.
Yeah.
Um, you know, all in all, what did you get? You used the top pick for a quarterback who's not working out, where you could have plugged and played another pick or another player at that pick and kept Kirk Cousins. And yeah, he didn't have the playoff resume that you want from an NFL starter, but the same could be said for guys like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Two of the other top three guys in the league. So, um, I mean, it would make it would make for a sentimental story, and I personally would be for it. I just don't know if the ownership group can trim their egos enough to say, "Hey, we made a mistake 2 seasons ago. Come on back."
Come on back, yeah. Yeah, men in suits have a tendency not to want to apologize.
Yeah,
Want to say, all right. So, with that being said, we'll move on to the transition or to the franchise tag uh, talk. As we had Kyle Pitts get the franchise tag in Atlanta, they're not letting him hit the market.
I'm
George
sorry,
Pickens,
Kyle.
George Pickens got the franchise tag in uh, Dallas. Most expect him to sign some kind of long term deal before the season starts. And the Jets franchise tag what was going to be considered the best free agent running back out there, and Brees Hall. And the Indianapolis Colts did something interesting in not franchise tagging Daniel Jones. They saved $6 million by hitting him with the transition tag, which allows him to go and talk to other teams, but they have the ability to match whatever those other teams throw at him.
Or get
So
compensation if they don't match.
right. So what are your thoughts on so basically it forces somebody to trade for Daniel Jones if they're going to sign him.
Uh, no, it's not they get a compensatory pick if he ends up leaving. Now, where that pick falls, I'm not sure. So they don't have to trade. They can just flat out outbid the Colts, and the Colts will
Mm,
have to choose whether to match it or not, and then they get a compensatory pick for that
okay.
maneuver. But from everything I've been reading, he's going to agree to a 4-year, $160 million deal with the Colts. It's just a matter of time before that's finalized. I think the one of those that you mentioned that would most likely be on the move to me is probably going to be Brees Hall because he's
Mm,
definitely unhappy with how the team is, how it's constructed. I feel bad for the Jets, for the fan base.
yeah.
They've made
Big
a
time.
lot of poor decisions, and honestly, not just poor decisions. They've made moves that haven't worked out. I
Yeah.
thought the Aaron Rodgers thing was gonna work out until he exploded his Achilles. Literally the second play of his Jets career, which has got to be one of the worst things to happen to that fan base when they had an elite defense already. They got weapons for Rodgers, only to have to fall back to Zach Wilson, who has done nothing in his career. So I think Brees
That
Hall
that
wants
blown
out.
Achilles cost Robert Saleh his job.
Sure did, sure
That was
did.
when the downward trend started.
So I think Brees Hall should be on the move. I would expect it to happen probably during the draft. I don't think
You
he'll
think they
fetch a
just
first.
tagged him so they could get something for him?
Absolutely. This way, if they with the franchise tag, that that's different than the transitional tag where the team does have to trade or make a trade with the Jets to get his rights. So I think that was a smart move by the Jets, and I'd be very curious to see if they, maybe Woody Johnson has dreams of grandeur and thinks that the Jets can actually compete this year. I'm not a buyer in that. I don't believe in it. At this point, they could prove me wrong. I mean, I am a fan of Justin Fields, but I don't think that they have supported him correctly with the things that he needs to be successful at this level, which has happened at almost every stop in his career, unfortunately. Um, so I think Brees Hall will be the one that'll most likely be on the move, probably for draft picks on day one or day two of the draft.
All right, all right. So let's get to one last talk here, and that is the legal tampering period starts tomorrow for the NFL. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the legal tampering period, basically it's a period of time of about 3 days. The new league year starts on Wednesday, I believe. And that's when all contracts and trades become official. But the legal tampering period is a 3 day period of time where teams can talk to players that are technically still on other teams but expect to become free agents before the beginning of the league new year, a new league year, and they can literally agree to contracts with them, but the contracts just don't become valid until the new league year starts. So, with that being said, Swab, what's your biggest fish in the pond for this year's free agency period?
Offensive lineman.
Offensive
I think
lineman.
I think after there were bigger names out there, but a lot of those guys got franchise tagged, like we talked about a week or two ago, that we
Mm,
expected to be franchise tagged and not be on the market. So after that, I believe that there are three offensive linemen that are at the top of the heap, and then everything else out there is underneath them. I do know that people are high on Pierce from Indianapolis, the wide receiver. I'm not that high on him. He had 1,000 yard season, but he's nothing more to me than a number two. You got
yeah,
Debo Samuels. He was the guy. I don't think he's that guy anymore. He's at the end of his career, last, third of his career. He's not truly a game changer. He can't help a team, I believe. But right now, I would say the center that I'm hoping the Raiders go after and get is the number one free agent guy out there.
yeah. Okay. And see, for me, I would say, just to throw one more thing at you, I did hear via rumor that Romeo Doubs. I think I told you this when we talked offline. Romeo Doubs, by I forget who the name of the guy, the NFL insider said that Romeo Doubs is. He expects him to sign a 4 year. Like I think it was like 4 year, 40 million or something like that, 45 million or something like that, 56 million, 60 something million, something like that deal with the 49ers. And I'm like, I thought about it. I was like, well, he would add some youth. I think him and Ricky Persall would be a good combination. We'll see what happens with Jennings. I don't know if he's out the door, but I know that he's going to want too much money compared to what the 49ers are going to be willing to pay him. So odds are Jennings is going to be going someplace else. I did like the idea, and I'm going to throw this at you, Swab, and let you give final thoughts here. I like the idea of somebody floated out there about Stephon Diggs. He is a free agent. You know what I'm saying? Bring him to San Francisco. We're already bringing Joey Bosa. Why not? What? Brock Purdy could get him the ball.
I mean, I'll be honest, he he's a good wide receiver. I'm not trying to hate on the guy, but his off-field stuff is
Mm,
not something I think that a lot of the playoff teams really want. I think the Patriots took a flyer, and there's a reason, even with his season last year, why he is not being re-signed by that team that definitely could use him. So
yeah.
even though I know that the Niners have a strong locker room, this isn't about locker room compatibility. It's not about ego, and it's not about what he can produce on the field. It's his off the field things. I think that can really derail things in a sense.
Mm,
He did have to go to court literally the day after the Super Bowl to deal with his legal troubles. I don't think that's something that the Niners should even entertain. There's too many other guys and known quantities out there for them to entertain Diggs. I'd rather have them re-sign Debo, or hell, really give that Dobbs money to Jennings, who has shown sparks and ability to be a linchpin on that offense. So if he's too much out of the price range, you can bring in Debo for that 10, 15, 10 or so million they're talking about Dubes with, or you can even bring in Dubes. I'm not necessarily mad at it per se. Um,
yeah.
but I wouldn't do digs. That's a step too far for me. I could see
Yeah.
it. I could see it if the price was right, but you know, I think that they feel that they're strong enough to do it. The problem is, it's just like people like Antonio Brown. On the field, he's great,
Hmm.
but everything off the
Money,
field, when he's
money.
not on the field, not at the practice facility, all that's kind of all bad.
And even when he's at the practice facility, sometimes it
Yeah,
can be all bad.
and to be honest, a lot of places say there's no such thing as bad publicity, but in athletic sports, there are such things as bad publicity that you know you got 90 reporters in every player's face asking about a player that you brought in this year, and then their off-field troubles that they have no idea what's going on. All that's distractionary stuff, and that's the kind of thing I don't think the Niners really need. They got to lock in, pray for a healthy season, and then see if they can reclaim being a Super Bowl contender.
I don't know. There's a lot of people that are saying if they can get healthy next year, this team should be right up there based on the results of this year.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm going to say it before. I'm not going to say I guarantee, but I would be highly surprised if Mac Jones is traded this offseason.
Yeah,
I'd
I
be
don't see
highly
anybody
surprised.
paying the first round price. There's not when you
Well,
can
it's not
have them
just
for
that.
nothing next year.
It's not just that. I don't think the Niners want to get rid of him. Like I think they like having a competent backup behind Purdy, even if it's only
Honestly,
for one more year.
every team does, and they've been pretty lucky. You had Darnold, and now you've got Jones, and you signed him to a longer term deal, so you didn't really have to worry about it for a couple seasons, and he did well enough to get you some calls at least about potential offers, but the price is
Yeah,
too high for a lot of those teams.
yeah.
And with Purdy having yet to show outside of his rookie year that he can really stay 100% healthy throughout the season, it's a no-brainer for Mac Jones to kind of stay at least this year and then see what's out there for him to start next year.
Yeah, I think he's gone out the door next year. I'll be honest with you. I think when he has the ability to be a free agent, he's going to go because there's more money out there than there is as a backup in Santa Clara. And I
Yep.
get that, and I'm pretty sure Kyle gets that, and John gets that. They may try to say, they have a good season, even if Brock stays healthy and he spends most of the season on the bench. They have a good season to make a run to the NFC Championship game or something like that. He might decide to stay next year.
I
They
don't.
might be able to
I
bring
can't
him
see
back.
that.
I I think that there's a slim pathway to it, but there's a pathway to it.
Like
There's
spider web thin.
spider web thin. I'll give you that. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and take our first and only break of the day. A quick 5 minutes out, and we'll be back to talk some NBA basketball. Yeah, right here on First GenXers Presents the Classroom, featuring the one and only Mr. Suave. Thanks for tapping in, Saint, and running the chat room for us and moderating. And yeah, check out Cheap Pop too. It was on earlier. Check it out on Twitch, YouTube, wherever you at. Peace. I know where it's at. It's right here.
Eventually.
Deuces.
We back at it. Yep, we still doing it. Poetic beat. First GenXers. Gia. Let's get it, y'all. Come on. We back in the building. It's been a long time cooking in the soup kitchen. And I'm chilling with the saint. Dropping these beats won't stop, nope, I can't. Let me get up in the lab, turn it up. Game on with the First GenXers. What's up? Let's flip on the Switch or the Xbox and get up in my zone, I'm clowning. Let me clear my throat for a minute. Shout out to my folks while I'm in it. It ain't nothing but love, it's babe business. I really don't know what's so who ain't feeling this. And this is only the beginning. Now versus then, this is something for the chillin'. Poetic got the joints like McDonald's. I'm loving it. It's the First GenXers. We're now rocking with Poetic Beats. This is the First GenXers production. Get your PlayStations out. Get your Xbox out. Get your Switch out. Let's get it in, y'all. Holla back.
Got to keep it. You got to keep it lovely. You got to keep it. to keep it loving.
Success comes right after the struggle. I ain't even giving up on whatever I wanted. The tragedies I've seen, I can't even stomach. Most of y'all weak as shit and would've started running. Every time I make it back to the crib, I'm thankful the Most High let me see all of it. Grateful I'm lovely, and I'm being real with this. Please don't judge me. I'ma stay on my shit. I'ma
Adams family like dynamic between Pugsley and Wednesday. Like,
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah.
Well, I always temper this because I think
I did not like the receiving caution tagline.
I've also seen what Chase Center looks like when the Valkyries are fucking playing, so fuck all of you. Because Chase Center is packed no matter what's going on.
They say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But the definition of beauty is distorted. Yeah. Come on. Searching for yourself, so insecure about the way you look, so you go to Miami. You can't find the love within yourself.
all right, and we're back. Hope you enjoyed that little promo block, letting you know everything that's going on here at the Double KK Double Network and at First GenXers Broadcasting Network. So now we are going to talk some Week 20 basketball. And we're going to start out here. I don't have a banner for this, but we're going to start here. Yesterday, the Warriors played the Thunder. Kristaps Porzingis made his return to the lineup. And surprisingly, to me and to a lot of other people, or to some other people, the Warriors actually were in the game. And for an extent, outside of a couple of mistakes they made of their own to kind of cost themselves, like, had a good chance to beat the Thunder.
Some bad calls too.
Yeah. The Kristaps experiment, he ended up playing about 25 minutes. Coach Kerr had said he was due to play about 23, so he actually went over by a couple minutes. So that's a good thing, you know. They're letting them play a little longer than what they expected. I believe 9.7 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block was his final stat line. I think he's somebody that can make an impact if he stays healthy. I think he gives the Warriors the rim protector that they've needed for a while. And again, he could be a great mentor to somebody like a Quentin Post and teaching him how to use his body and his size to work the low post and guard the rim, because that's what Kristaps is going to be doing. You know, I don't know. I like the combination of Kristaps, Al Horford, and Draymond, like on that low post. I don't think there's a lot. I think that you can consider that kind of a death lineup, like when they had Iggy, Draymond, and Bogut. You can kind of consider that a death lineup. But what are your thoughts on Kristaps' return and what it looks like for the Warriors moving forward after this close game against the Thunder?
I mean, everything hinges on Curry. I mean, Kristaps is a good weapon. He's potent. He didn't shoot necessarily well, but you kind of expect that when him coming back. He is a shooting big versus back to the basket big. So
Yeah.
hopefully he'll find his stroke. Um, he's definitely going to be a key piece for a playoff push. So there is some lightweight talk that they may try to shut down Curry for the season, but in my view, I think that that would be a mistake. They're in the playoff hunt. If it turns out that they streak in a you know big loss type deal, if they lose 5 or 6 straight and they fall out of even the play in, then yeah, I might consider it. And then you're trying to pray for a lottery top 4 type deal, and then shooting the stars again for another piece that you could use. But I
Yeah.
think they need Curry as much as they need Kristaps to play. Kristaps has shown that he can be a positive contributor to a championship level team. I think he
Mhm.
definitely gives us a dynamic that Kerr definitely wants. So hopefully Steph comes back and Kristaps is able to play for extended games, not even minutes, just don't miss any more games outside of ones where you're, given the rest on short days and things like that. So hopefully they can make a strong push.
I'll say it like this. To me, this would be the optimal way that things could work out. They continue to compete this year as best they can. If Steph comes back, he comes back. Like if Steph is ready to go 100% and wants to play, you let Steph come back. You don't shut him down. You don't set him and tell him to sit down for the rest of the season. You play the season out. And while this season's going on and while you're having the ups and downs of the season, you're in Chris Stapp's ear, talking to him about coming back, maybe not at 30 million a year, maybe at 25, ain't much of a difference, and continuing to mentor somebody like Post and giving us a chance to have a run where we have Steph at the 1, Jimmy at the 2, Draymond at the 3, uh, Horford at the 4, because I believe Horford's on a 2-year deal, isn't he?
Mhm.
And Chris Stepps at center. Because I think that starting 5 with Pods, GP2, fucking Quentin Post, all backing them up, going 8-9 deep with what Will Richard, DeAnthony Melton. I think that squad could compete for a championship next year. I genuinely think because defensively, who's stopping that squad? You see what I'm saying? Or you can start if you want more offensive punch to switch it up. You start Pods at the 2, move Jimmy back to his natural spot at the 3, move Draymond to the 4. Chris Stepps is still at the 5. Al Horford comes off the bench. I'm
I'll
just
be honest, I'd rather have Pods off the bench and start Richard.
fair enough. Fair enough. I could see that working too. But I think that giving Steve Kerr that many options is a way to get us back to relevance, and not relevance, but you know what I'm saying, championship contender level.
Yeah,
But
honestly, I
this,
think to get them that deal, we have to see him this end of the season stay playing. I think if
yeah,
he misses more time, I don't know, 20 and 25 million might be a bit high for a person that's not going to play half the season.
yeah,
So we've got to see him finish the season strong, help this team get into the play in or the 6 seed, or maybe even streak to the 5 seed if they can get Steph back and they can win a few games in a row. Because honestly, last I checked, there were only a handful of games out of third place.
yeah.
So if they could streak, just a 10-game winning streak would be literally might be all it takes to move up into the top 4.
Now I
It
hate to say
would.
it. I hate to say it, it is asking a lot only because we only have like 26 games left in the season.
Yeah, but if you remember last year when they got Jimmy, they went 16-4 to finish out the season, and were looking real good until Steph, got injured in the playoffs. So, it wouldn't take much. I mean, even it might not take 10 straight. Maybe you do a 5 game winning streak, take an L, win another 5 games, something of that nature where
Something
they're
along those
winning,
lines. Yeah.
70-80% of their games over a stretch of games, 10 or 15 games where they're winning a bunch of them. Um, I think that's what it's going to take to really. They don't really want to be in the play-in because then all bets are off. You never know how it's going to really turn out. You kind of want to be set in a 7 game series where you can start game planning.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely want to see Steph and Kristaps play together. I definitely want to see how they can make that tandem work.
Yeah.
So a lot of unanswered questions for the team for this season, anyway. I do think a lot of other questions are being answered, like who on the team is definitely stepping up. I like what Santos did, led the team with 22 points against the Thunder. He's definitely stepped into the role vacated by Kaminga and is excelling in that role. Whereas Kaminga
I want to
felt
say
like it
did
was
the game before last he had 20 and 11, didn't he?
yeah.
In
So,
the win,
you
yeah.
know, Kaminga didn't like that role, and Santos is thriving in that role, which is really the difference. Is
Yeah.
really, I think, just mindset. Rashard is still playing relatively well. He's kind of reminding me of Healed, where he's going to have a super hot game, then he's going to be kind of medium warm the next game
Yeah,
or two.
yeah, I feel you. I feel
Um,
you.
we also saw Pods kind of step up and have some big games. I've seen a lot of content online about him. You know, people kind of ragging on him and ragging on his game and how he wasn't involved in trades. I think he's going to be, once he gets his consistency firmly down, I think he's going to be a very quality piece for this team.
Yeah.
So, so
Well,
far, I
people got to
mean,
remember, Steph's been hurt a lot of this season, so Pods hasn't been playing in his normal rotation.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? He's been having to play a completely different rotation than what he's normally used to, with Steph in and out of the lineup like that. So, like, it's not a matter of blame Steph. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying give the kid some slack because when he's in his normal role, he's a marksman and he's out there contributing and adding to the game. But he recently just have 2 back-to-back 15 rebound games. Like no Warrior did that in a while. So like if people hating on Pods, like lay off. The kid's doing whatever is asked of him, which is all you can ask of him on any team. Is he's just
and
going to
honestly,
contribute
of
whatever?
all the players that are left on the team at this point in time, they're all people that have bought in.
Yeah,
And that's one of the key things that you have to have. Everybody is bought into their role, no matter how small. Whenever their number's called, they're ready to come in and try and help contribute. So and they do so with a positive attitude. They're not mad if they get a DMP.
right,
They would have liked to play. Every player wants to play, but not every night is your night. So it's
right,
good to have this collection of players together. We just gotta, outside of Jimmy, we got to see, this team at what its full strength is at the moment with Kristaps and
right.
Curry on the floor at the same time to really get a feel for if they might have the potential to do something special this playoff run. Because until they're out of the playoffs, I mean, getting to the playoffs, you got a puncher's chance to do anything, especially when you
Yeah,
have the second best player in the world on your team.
very true, very true. Hold on one second. I want to speak to somebody specific. Al Horford. I believe you are signed to a multi-year deal. If you are not, please consider coming back because I think you are a critical piece to the Warriors having success next year as well, no matter what happens this year. So that's my message to Al Horford. There we go.
Seconded.
So, all right. So let's see. There's also a story about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has become the focal point of the league, recording his 125th consecutive 20-point game, putting him just one shy of Wilt Chamberlain's all-time record of 126. The all-time record is only 126 20-point games.
I don't know. That doesn't sound right to me. But I mean, if they're reporting it, then it might be
Or
true.
maybe it's consecutive.
Even then, I mean, I don't know. Wilt was scoring a lot of points for a lot of years, and to imagine him not scoring more than 20 on a random night in one of those years he was dominating the league back in his heyday. Maybe it's because he was
How many
facing the
games per
Russell
season were they
Celtics.
playing though?
If I'm not mistaken, they were playing the 82 games. That's always
Yeah,
been
then
the
I
the
don't know.
standard. So
But
I'm not
that's
sure.
what
But if it is, congratulations. SGA's having a hell of a run. They've got a hell of a team. They've been blessed to, have a second chance. A lot of franchises don't get second chances
run into
as
that.
quickly as this one has happened because the pieces that they had for the last time are still all in the league outside
Yeah.
of Kendrick Perkins, who wasn't really a part of, he's a small part of those teams, but he acted
Yeah.
like he was a
He
big part of those teams.
yeah.
But the
He did
trio
his
are
part.
still, yeah. But as KD said, bro, you act like he was running things and you was out there averaging 5 and 5. So it's like, I gotta go KD on that one.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the OKC looks like they're doing it right. Looks like they finally kind of figured it out that they have to pay to keep teams together when they look like they could be special. So good for SGA. He's
Well,
really kind of come into his own. He's one of the top 10 players in the league right now.
all that talent and all them picks is what's unfair. Sam Presti is playing NBA 2K out there collecting first round draft picks and then bringing in using them to bring in players like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and also to bring in, and also to draft good players like Chet Holmgren and then massaging the cap to bring in guys like Hartenstein.
I mean,
Like,
Celtics did it too with Danny Ainge. I mean, it's just
yeah,
being a good GM. You get value where other teams don't see it, and you look like you're getting fleeced, and then 5 years later, you're sitting there with umpteen first round draft picks all in the same draft, and you're hitting your draft picks are. Top 3, top 5, top 10, and you're nailing them, and the trades you're doing are working out. So I
well,
mean, let's remember when they traded Paul George, that kind of looked like a give up trade.
yeah,
They were getting rid of Westbrook. They were kind of dismantling that team, and then to get SGA and then have him end up being the leader for your team, for a dominant team, a team that's won a championship and looks to compete for at least 2, 3, 4 more. So I mean, you got to give them
they're
credit.
current they're currently 51 and 15, I believe. So like, yeah, that team is gonna go somewhere. The injury bug we talked about throughout the show. We got Steph Curry out for the Warriors, sideline with a right patellofemoral femoral pain syndrome, otherwise known as runner's knee, leaving Golden State 32 and 31 vulnerable in the playoff race. Joel Embiid is out with a right oblique strain, expected to miss several games. Jimmy Butler's been ruled out for the season a long time ago with ACL surgery. Nikola Vucevic, midseason acquisition for the Boston Celtics, fractured his right finger and will be reevaluated in 3 to 4 weeks. What is happening, man? Like I thought these players were supposed to be bigger, faster, stronger. Seems
A
like they're
lot of people
bigger,
are.
faster, more injured.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say that they're doing more powerful cuts. The basketball moves are a bit different. There's more. They're doing more to do moves, or to
Uh,
make moves on the court. So it's leading to more injuries. I mean, I don't know. We really got to kind of look at strength and conditioning and what it takes. I don't want anyone to talk about shortening the season. I think that's a terrible idea because it invalidates records. Records that are done in the 82 games will
uh,
forever be set. If you lower it 10 games, I mean, after 8 or 10 years, that's a full season worth of stats you're not getting if you were
uh,
playing every day. So I mean, I don't want anybody to go that route. Injuries happen. It's a part of every sport. There's no sport that's immune to it. So I mean, it may be due to the fact of social media and the instant gratification that we live in now, whereas back in the day it might have been in the local paper You might have heard it on the radio program you listen to, or eventually on the TV program that you listen to when we all had regular television and we didn't really have cable. So I think, injuries might have happened back then as well. We just didn't hear about it and it wasn't as splash page news.
Yeah.
But
Let,
it
let
is
me
what it
say
is.
let me say this. Didn't mean to cut you off there. So let me say this. I think that it's there's one way that I think the NBA can minimize these injuries. You cannot tell me over the 6 months, 7 months of the basketball season, there's not a way to spread out these games where you don't have any back to backs. There's always at least one day in between games. Like I don't understand why the NBA makes it seem like it would be so hard to do that. To just not eliminate back to backs. No more. You can
Yeah.
still play 3 to 4 games a week, 2 to 3 games a week. It's just no back to backs. There's 7 days in a week. You can spread it out however you need to.
I mean, most teams do. I think I want to say I read somewhere that they average about 12 to 16 back to backs a season. So really, you're talking about 12 to 16 days where all you have to do is elongate the season by say a month. First off, you can get rid of that stupid midseason cup garbage. That's one thing that they could do.
Yeah,
It might be time to say goodbye to All Star Weekend. There's some more days there because honestly,
some more days now.
it's lost its touch. It's not the same. The fans aren't coming to the arena. The arena was only. I mean, I swear, I've never seen such a state for an All Star game to where it looked like it was only 25% full. I don't know if they could
Yeah,
have
yeah.
given tickets away to get people to show up there. So, you're trying to find a way to get 3 or 4 more weeks, start the season a little bit sooner. Um, don't eliminate the preseason because you need all that kind of stuff. And I like the summer league
Yeah.
games where you can see the youngsters and the guys that are trying to make squads, but they could elongate the season by about a month. And yeah, the that does mean that the players would lose a month of off time. But
Yeah.
hey, if you don't want to play back to backs and you're complaining about wear and tear, there's got to be some give in the
Elongate the
take.
season can work can get it done as well. All right,
Yeah,
boss. So this just came in. This is on the NFL side of things. We'll get back to NBA here in just a second. Bills are trading Teron, I spelled his name Tron Johnson to the Raiders. Uh, yeah, I don't know who this kid is, but it's something that helps them. Clint isn't Kubiak no because he was their offensive coordinator, right?
offensive. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, but maybe they feel he's somebody that can help anchor that Raiders defense. So just quick thoughts on Mr. Teron heading to the Raiders.
Well, if it involves a draft pick, it would seem to me that they don't think that they'll get the defensive back in the draft that they wanted. So they went ahead and made a move for somebody that they felt could contribute.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So last thing with the NBA is what's this one? Oh, as of March 8th, you have Oklahoma leading San Antonio by 4 games uh for the number one seed in the West. And then in the East, you have the Detroit Pistons leading the Boston Celtics by 3 games, who just returned Jason Tatum from an Achilles injury last year in the playoffs. Who got 15 points, 12 rebounds in his return. What do you think the impact of Tatum coming back is going to have on the East standings in the coming weeks?
In the standings, not much. I think they're in a real good spot. I'm not sure where the Celtics are. I do know they're hot and thick into the playoff chase, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're due to have a first round home series.
Mm,
I got to give them credit. I'm glad that you brought that up because I thought that they would be the way of Indiana, and that team stepped up without Tatum, and they won a lot of games I didn't expect for them to win. So I gotta, tip my cap to the Celtics. I thought this would be a down year, especially after the fire sale of some veterans like Kristaps and others. So I got to give them their respect. I think
You
getting
got to give
Tatum
them the
back at this
flowers when they
point,
do.
yeah, I got to, with Tatum coming back and having about 20 games to really kind of get himself back into the swing of things. He's going to be in a new role. He won't be the guy because you
Yeah,
don't want to mess up the chemistry that the team has. You can't just step right back in, but you can come in and kind of feel your way through. And honestly, I think this is a boon for the Celtics. They could make some noise in the playoffs that I did not see happening.
very much so. Very much so. The I think that it will have an impact in regards to. I don't necessarily know. I don't know how if with Cade Cunningham out, this could be the time for the Celtics to seize the day, so to speak, and try to capture that one seed and then ride it out after that. Because with Cade Cunningham day to day, the Pistons ain't gonna be the same Pistons. So who knows if they're gonna be winning still consistently winning the way that they did before. All right. So that will bring us to our final segment of the night, and that is all right. Non-NFL or NBA talk, sports talk, and there's only really one thing to talk about if you know what's going on, and that is the NCAA football, the March Madness, which is coming up pretty soon. Duke capped their regular season with a decisive victory over number 17 North Carolina for the ACC title. So Duke's going to remain number one. I believe Michigan is number two. But they said in the Big East, Marquette upset number four, UConn. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting March Madness. What are your thoughts on another year of craziness? Because like I always find it's better when I tune in right around the time of the selection committee than watching college basketball all season because I don't really care where cats get ranked or where cats get rated as far as where they end up in the brackets, unless it's Cal or Stanford or something like that. I don't really care where they end up. I just want to see the games because the games are always good. Whether you're talking about like one of the lower level schools like a Mississippi State or something like that, or Jackson State or something like that, or you're talking about one of the top tier schools like Duke or Virginia or North Carolina, it's always fun to watch. So your thoughts on March Madness, bro?
I mean, how can you argue with any of the Cinderellas that have done something special? You also have the powerhouses, and then you've been in the eras of the one and dones.
Yeah.
So it's very March Madness is very beloved in this country. The top 68 teams going at it and seeing the upsets and predicting the perfect bracket, which was a thing for a long time.
It still is.
I
ESPN still offers like 500,000 if you predict the perfect bracket or something.
Yeah, so I mean, the only thing I really got to say about this year though is I believe it is Ohio University is the one that went undefeated in regular season.
Yeah.
If they somehow get excluded because they don't win their conference, that'll be the biggest travesty in college sports that I've seen in a long, long time.
I
Especially when
agree.
it came out that they actually tried to get tougher teams to play them. And not only did half of those teams not even return their calls, the other half that returned their calls told them no thanks. So that shows that they're a strong enough team and deserve the opportunity to show it. It'll come down to their seeding and ranking and where they get placed. But I'm hoping that they have a strong run to kind of stop the haters.
Pretty much. Well, or here's the deal. I know a lot of people who would say it exactly like this: win your conference. Win your conference. Remain undefeated. Don't give them a choice. Don't give them a choice to leave you out. And that's how you get that done. And then you get into the big dance and you show up and you dance you break dance your way to a final four or an elite eight and show them that they really would have made a mistake even thinking about leaving you out. That's how you handle that. Because the bottom line is that it's been done plenty of times. Teams like Davidson that were on the bubble and made it in with the young Steph Curry and went on a run to the Elite Eight. Wisconsin Green Bay was the name of that school. It came out of nowhere and beat like a number 3 and then like a number 10 seed and then a number 3 seed or something like that and got to the Elite Eight.
I remember when Gonzaga was considered the Cinderella. They weren't the powerhouse that we known them, and they came in and had good runs, solid runs.
Yep. So I think that. Oh, that's another thing I'm going to say. EA, we need another college basketball game or 2K. I don't care who. Like 2K, I would prefer 2K do it. They do better basketball games. EA, leave the basketball alone. Let 2K do a college basketball game. We need something spectacular like NBA 2K. And then you got to be able to create a player on the college and being able to bring him up to the pros.
My career from college to the pros.
Yep. So anyway, but needless to say that's it for today. And it has been an excellent episode as always with you, Mr. Suave. Unfortunately, O'Malley was unable to join us. Hopefully she'll join me next week. She'll join me next week as Suave will be taking the week off, and we'll be able to talk some more NFL, NBA, and much more. But you guys have been watching The Classroom featuring the one and only Mr. Suave. Any last words for him, Suave?
In the words of O'Malley, it's always fuck LeBron. Spurs, you didn't deserve Wemby, so you better win a chip with him. Matter of fact, I don't even want y'all to win the chip with him, even though I like Wemby. I mean, can you not root for that kid? Hopefully, Ohio University ends up getting a mid-round selection. Probably, I want to say a 7-8 seed. It'd be nice if they got like a 4 seed or something for recognition for an undefeated season, which is has happened rarely in NCAA. And sad to see Max Crosby go. You were a great Raider. You emphasize what it is to be a Raider. So it's kind of sad to see him walk. And I'm curious to see what this next season brings of NFL football.
For sure. All right, y'all. So that'll do it for us for this week. Be sure to stay tuned on the Twitch channel for the Saint with some MBT Fusion or MBT Deuce. And for me, I'll be back again on Tuesday with some college football 26, depending on how this whole offseason thing turns out. With me and Suave, we'll probably be in a new season by then. And so y'all stay up, stay real, and please take care of each other. There's a lot going on in the world today. We'll see you next week. Peace.